19. Voice of America is taking every necessary precaution to safeguard its employees. So our broadcast will look a little different today and the near future as we, out of an abundance of caution, reduce our staffing at VOA headquarters here in Washington. We're working to help keep you informed about what's going on, and we appreciate your staying with us on Africa 54. We begin our broadcast Friday with good news out of West Africa. The governor of Nigeria's Katsina State says over 340 schoolboys kidnapped a week ago in the northwestern Nigerian state have been caught, recovered. However, not all of those take freed. In a Twitter post, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari said, quote, "This is a huge relief to the entire country and international community." He also said the entire country is grateful to Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari, the intelligence agencies, the military, and the police force. Many of the boys wearing light green uniforms, clutching blankets, arrived home Friday on buses, looking weary but as well. None of the boys spoke as they walked from the buses flanked by soldiers into a government building. A group of their parents waited to be reunited with them in another part of town. The mass abduction has increased pressure on the government to deal with militants in the north of the country, particularly on President Muhammadu Buhari, who hails from Katsina and has repeatedly said that Boko Haram has been technically defeated. I spoke to Sunny Malumfashi, VOA Hausa Service reporter, and asked him how the rescue happened and what is known about the remaining boys.
The state government has secured the release of its abducted students, numbering 344. The governor said the release was facilitated by a committee the government set up, which comprises the heads of the police, army, other security outfits, the special advisor to the governor on security matters, who is standing on the government side, and the national officials of Miyetti Allah, a cattle rearers association in Nigeria. The committee really, and they have secured the release, and all the students are by now in Katsina. They were driven out with heavy military and security escort right from Zamfara Bush to Katsina. In an interview, the governor said all the students abducted have been released to the state government through the committee. And therefore, we cannot challenge that, but definitely there may be some still roaming about in the bush, those who had earlier ran away for their dear lives, and they lost bearing as to how they can locate the way back to their school or to their respective homes.
The Nigerian government says it is reopening full border crossings as it moves to ease the protectionist approach it adopted to tackle smuggling and boost local production. Neka Chile has the details.
Nigeria will open 4 border crossing points immediately, 1 year after closing all its land frontiers in an effort to crack down on smuggling. At a cabinet meeting on Wednesday, the government approved the reopening of crossings in the northwest, southwest, and south, with the rest reopening at the end of the year. Levies will be kept on imports of rice and some other products. Nigeria closed its land borders last year to curb the smuggling of rice and arms, which it says threatens efforts to boost local production and security. It also sought to generate state revenues through import duties. But that protectionist approach did not fit with Nigeria's membership of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is due to be launched in January. Despite initial reluctance to join the $3.4 trillion economic bloc for the fear of exposing local industries to dumping by countries outside Africa, the government ratified its membership last month.
That was Neka Chile of Reuters reporting. The coronavirus pandemic has affected people worldwide, including migrants, many of whom have gotten ill, lost jobs, or been stranded in destination countries. VOA United Nations correspondent Margaret Bashir spoke with the head of the UN's migration agency about their predicament.
There are about 272 million migrants worldwide. A little less than half of them are women. The UN considers a migrant to be anyone who changes their country regardless of the reason, but most move to seek economic improvement. According to the IOM, India has the largest number of migrants living abroad. more than 17 million. The United States remains the top destination country, home to more than 50 million migrants. Some 3 million migrants have been stranded by COVID-19 lockdowns and border closures, but the virus has not stopped the criminals who exploit those seeking to reach new countries.
There are 4 times more arrivals in Italy this year through the Mediterranean, one of the most dangerous routes, than last year. Or if you look to the Gulf of Aden, there are 130,000 people who are crossing the Gulf both ways to reach the Gulf countries, and they did not stop because of the pandemic.
More than 3,100 migrants have died trying to reach destination countries this year. Drowning is the most common cause. As some rich nations approve COVID-19 vaccines and begin vaccinating their populations, Vitorino says migrants must not be excluded.
It's the responsibility of governments to guarantee that all that are present in their own territory, whether they are nationals or non-nationals, migrants, irrespective of their legal status, have access to vaccines. Because in practical terms, the pandemic has shown us that nobody is safe until everyone is safe.
International Migrants Day is a time to recognize migrants' contributions to the countries they settle in and respect their right to seek a better life, says the IOM.
Migration is a natural phenomenon of human life. It has always existed and it will go on existing in our world.
Migrants are often thought of as being undocumented workers, but the vast majority are legal in destination countries. They work in all fields, from manual labor to specialties, including healthcare and technology. Margaret Bashir, VOA News, New York.
Friday is International Migrants Day, and this year has seen a dramatic increase in the number of African migrants trying to reach Europe through Senegal. Several shipwrecks have left hundreds dead. A Senegalese group working with street children explains the dangers of illegal immigration and provides skills and training to keep them employed at home. Alison Lekogo Fernandez has our story, presented by Carol Gunsberg.
Mohamed Kaba has been living in the city of Thiès for the last 2 months. Originally from Conakry in Guinea, he works as a security guard for a company specializing in renewable energy. His dreams of reaching Europe crashed when he was attacked in Mauritania and lost nearly $1,000 he had saved for the trip.
If I had invested the money I saved, today I know very well that I would be better off. Then I just wanted to quit my job and go try my luck. Today I regret it. If I had another chance, I would not go back to that hell.
Back in Senegal, Kaba turned to the group that helped him when he was a teenager on the streets. The Pilot Village Association, near Senegal's Lac Rose, welcomes more than 100 street children ages 3 to 25. It's a second chance for these kids to develop autonomy and responsibility through training in carpentry and masonry and counseling about community life. On This Morning, Pilot Village co-founder Sharif Ndiaye is explaining the dangers of illegal immigration and the often poor living conditions of African migrants in Europe.
We took in a lot of young people who were migrating from the sub-region. We are offering them this alternative solution of first coming to stay with us in this center and to benefit from the training that we are providing them, which can be a source of income tomorrow.
In Thiès, Mohamed Kaba receives a visit from Fatih Diop, who is responsible for professional integration at Pilot Village. She comes every month to support him in managing his budget and opening a bank account, but also to help him better integrate socially by strengthening family ties.
When you see the journey he has had, the ups and downs he has been through, that he now manages to be independent, to be able to take care of himself. He has a small business in Guinea with his mother. He sells shoes. Not only does he take care of himself, but in addition, he helps the family. I think that's something great.
Active for more than 25 years, Pilot Village regularly places nearly 70 young people in jobs every year, helping to contribute to the local economy and discourage illegal migration to Europe. For Alison Lekogo Fernandez in Lac Rose, Senegal, I'm Carol Gunsberg, VOA.
The United States is expanding its rollout of the newly approved COVID-19 vaccine to hundreds of distribution centers where thousands of healthcare workers are expected to be vaccinated. VOA's Mariama Diallo has more.
Nearly 1,000 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine have arrived at Indiana University Health Methodist Hospital in Indianapolis. Hospital Pharmacy Director Tate Trujillo.
It's exciting. I mean, this is a light at the end of the tunnel.
But getting people vaccinated is challenging, says Trujillo.
In the environment that we're in right now, with COVID surge, increased patient volumes, staff being tired, and then saying, oh, by the way, we need to add this on, that's the challenge. Everyone's plate is very full, and then we need to make sure this happens and it happens correctly. With the Pfizer product having a very limited, room temperature duration. The timing is kind of crucial. First 60 doses.
Dr. Stephen Rump was one of the first at the hospital to get inoculated.
It has been a long 9 months, is what it's been. It's been a privilege and an honor to be on the front line and take care of people.
COVID-19 has killed more than 310,000 people in the United States and infected more than 17 million, overwhelming the healthcare system, inflicting economic pain, and putting millions out of work. The vaccine is the first step toward recovery, say medical experts.
Right. So thrilled with how effective this vaccine is and how safe it is. And I think as we get more and more Americans immunized, more and more people around the world immunized, that's what's going to break the back of the pandemic.
But there have been a few cases of allergic reactions to the vaccine, including some in Britain and one Thursday in Alaska.
The vaccine itself will expire.
There are also difficulties involved in distributing the vaccine in remote areas worldwide because of the need to keep the doses in ultra-cold temperatures. Dr. Burak Kazaz, a supply chain expert, explains.
If you're going to a metropolitan city in, say, in Africa, the type of logistical arrangement that we make for the US market is no different. However, for remote places, that might be quite challenging. And we might have to use, for example, drone technologies to deliver in such short periods of time these vaccines.
Meanwhile, on Thursday, the number of cases worldwide has exceeded 74.6 million, according to a tally by Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. Mariama Diallo, VOA News.
We're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54. Join the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also, check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, the final from a Malawian music legend. We'll be right back.
Health, wellness, sport, beauty, medical breakthroughs. Healthy Living cares about your well-being. What are the main health concerns in Africa and around the world? Find out the latest on coronavirus. Connect with our experts and ask them questions.
How long does the virus stay?
Join me, Linor Moudou, in Washington every week on Healthy Living, right here on VOA.
The head of ECOWAS poll observer mission says Ghana's recent elections were transparent and credible. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf says despite reports of isolated cases of violence, the voters had no problem casting their votes. She also complimented officials of the Electoral Commission, including at the polling stations, for carrying out their duties professionally. In part 2 of Peter Clode's interview, Salif, the former Liberian president and head of the ECOWAS Election Observer Group, says there are institutions available to resolve any concerns the main Ghanaian opposition leader may have about the outcome of the recent polls.
Madam President, accepting the outcome of an election is an integral part of the electoral process. The losing candidate, former President John Dramani Mahama, and his officials have rejected the outcome of the poll, expressing concern about certain figures. How do you think this process should move forward? Of course, the Electoral Commission or electoral laws have a way of addressing them. As a former politician yourself, a stateswoman as well, how do you think this process should move forward in terms of addressing their concerns in the run-up to the formal installation of the second term of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President-elect of Ghana?
Well, let's first say one has a right to question any doubts that one has about election results, particularly if you're a candidate, you have that right. Ghana has established mechanisms to address questions and concerns about the results of the election. In addition, we would like to note that the National Peace Council is an established mechanism for dialogue. So I would expect that, if it's challenged, by the one who lost the election, if it's challenged legally, it's one thing. I also expect that it will be accorded by the Peace Council the opportunity for dialogue to ensure that there's satisfactory answers to those questions. And I believe there will be. It will be properly addressed. And at the end of the day, I think you will see the two sides coming together, not only in Parliament, where they're just about have equal strength in terms of their numbers, but also coming together for the common agenda of the development and prosperity of Ghana.
Madam President, as you went around, I'm sure you interacted with some of the poll officials. Some people say Ghanaians have a high expectations of transparency and credibility of the elections. How will you assess how the elections were organized in terms of its transparency and credibility?
Look, everything we saw about the process accorded transparency to it. The votes were cast in open spaces where everyone could see how the vote was done. And it was not just polling officers or voters or party agents or security. It was also watched by ordinary citizens. As long as they preserved the distancing, they could watch the process. That's as transparent as it could be. And so, if there were any infractions, I think those were quickly addressed. One or two of them were reported, but they were quickly addressed, either by security, if it meant something that had to do with the use of force or illegal use of something. And it was just something where an honest error here and there, I think it was adjusted. So let's give Ghana the Ghana citizens what they deserve. That first of all, their attitude toward a peaceful election is so appealing, is so applaudable. Their participation in the vote with the demeanor of casting their vote and moving away quickly is something that is exemplary. The professionalism of all of those at the polling places is once again something to be applauded. And so I think we should just say to Ghana, thank you for being a model for election. Thank you for this tradition that is now long-standing, peaceful transfer of power through a transparent, free, fair election process. Let's accord Ghana what they deserve. Let's applaud them. They deserve it. The Ghana citizens.
That was VOA's Peter Clotis speaking with former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Foreign tourists resumed flying into Botswana in November after months of closed borders due to COVID-19. But the coronavirus lockdown has many tourist companies struggling to stay in business. Mkondis Dube reports from Chobe, Botswana.
Botswana is one of Africa's prime safari destinations, attracting about 2 million international visitors a year to see the Okavango Delta, a unique wetland, and Botswana's abundant wildlife. Travel restrictions triggered by the pandemic brought tourism to a halt for much of 2020. But there is a glimmer of hope after Botswana's recent decision to allow chartered flights into prime tourist destinations.
We still have hope. We're looking forward to the beginning of next year. Hopefully our peak season, which usually starts in March, should bring in some positivity with it. And just hoping that everything normalizes, everything gets back to normal.
Some tourism and hospitality workers like Grace Rokoro are now jobless.
For the moment, I don't have a hope because I think there's still going to be a big challenge for the freelancers to be called to go and help because they still have those staff. They have been staying home for long.
Her husband, Chibeya Longwani, owns a homemade canoe and used to provide rides to international tourists.
So we work with other lodges, which give us business. If yes, they're gonna get some guests coming. We hope we're gonna deserve to have a big smile.
Minister of Environment, Natural Resources, Conservation and Tourism Permanent Secretary Udwezu Koboto says the sector is showing signs of recovery.
We have also seen some recovery in the international market, especially after the government started opening up for direct flights, charter flights.
Tourism is Botswana's second largest foreign currency earner and contributes 13% to the Southern African country's gross domestic product. Mkondisi Dube for VOA News, Kasani, Botswana.
In our entertainment segment, 90-year-old Malawian music legend Gides Chalamanda retires with one final hit and a new grocery store. Heather Maxwell, host of Music Time in Africa, has the story.
Gides Chalamanda is the oldest living legend in Malawian music today. But his music risks being forgotten. At least that's the belief that inspired Patience Namadingo, one of Malawi's hottest superstars today, to do a mashup with him in duet. The recording is a huge success, but it also triggered Chalamanda's retirement from music. Here's what happened. Namadingo took the country by storm in 2020 with his reggae mashup idea. He recorded a series of duet mashups with top name artists all across the country. He chose to feature Chalamanda because he wanted to re-engage him and his music in the hearts and the minds and the ears of today's youthful listeners. Now, a mashup combines a variety of songs from different genres to create one single new musical work. So Namadingo and his team traveled to Chalamanda's home in Chirazulu district, southern Malawi, to record this mashup. It combines Chalamanda's most popular hits from the 1970s and the 1980s over one easygoing reggae beat. The whole thing is 8 minutes long, but I'll just give you some highlights here. It opens with Line Hu, And that is a song from a father's perspective who sings about how wonderful his daughter is. She's hardworking, she obeys the family, she does things for them, and she is just absolutely the bravest of all. Then we hear one of Chalamanda's songs about his father. And this one is about his father who in real life left the family when he was a boy and never came back. Chalamanda had been wondering for years, and he sings in the song, I wonder if my dad's coming back. I wonder where he is. And then at some point he says to Nama Dingo, wait a minute, I actually know now that my father is dead because I'm 90. And then we hear Napolo, another hit tune, a true old story about a terrible flood that killed a district commissioner. It swept him away in his car and carried him off into the lake where he drowned. And then there's Buffalo Soldier, probably Chalamanda's biggest hit of all. The whole song is anchored around his refrain, I want to go to America. I dream about going to America. If I only had enough money, I would go see America. So that sums up the music video. It's 8 minutes long, so you can get on YouTube and watch the whole thing if you want to. But a couple notes. One, Chalamanda did end up going to America. His dream came true in 2016, 40 years about after the release of that song. He performed at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., and other areas in the Atlantic East Coast. And finally, his retirement. How did Chalamanda end up retiring right after he recorded this successful mashup duet with Nama Dingo? Here's how. Nama Dingo is also a humanitarian and a brand ambassador for FDH Bank. He convinced Chalamanda to retire with the promise of a gift from the bank for a grocery store, the only one in his town, worth 2 million kwacha. Well, we wish him a happy retirement and also look forward to hearing his new songs in new versions by new artists in Malawi and who knows, maybe around the world.
That was Heather Maxwell, host of UA's Music Time in Africa, with a feature on Malawian music legend Gides Chalamanda. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, thanks for watching and have a great weekend.